Hi, my name is Vera Joy. And this is one of my favorite clusters. And this is my business card. It says New Habits for a New Earth. Reverend Mother Vera Joy Javine. Empath, Two Spirit, Devout Pagan. My fingernails are supposed to be pink fingers with purple flames, but the nail polish is coming off. Non denominational ordained minister, professionally trained spiritual healer and teacher, unorthodox spiritual counselor, unorthodox spiritual counselor. On the back of the card, healing, empowerment, serving the earth, sacred economics, wild ethics, spirit science. And there is a reflection question I was guided to write around the edges of the image that I created for healing. And the phrase is what I'm doing serving the highest good? And these visuals were created to be portals for healing, the circle of life, the tree of life, the circle of transmutation through the violet flame of divine love that offers the transmutation of all toxins, all unclear energy to become clear and harmonic, and what we call divine perfection. So the other image is a golden oval to symbolize a golden shield, like around the auric field of a woman, but also the divine feminine. And so it is meant to be a healing for all who see it, of the feminine within our consciousness. And the underneath her feet is a golden disc with a lotus. And if you imagine yourself in that manner, it will help you to receive from your own Christ light as a pool of energy that pours down from your I am that I am down through to your feet and throughout your whole body. And then you receive the energy of your body from your own I am rather than pulling from the earth. And so this allows for you to also feed the earth energy and that soul energy from you. You're feeding it to her once you begin to live in that manner rather than pulling from the planet for your energy. Is we're transitioning back into the full Christhood, as some call it, which is living what some call the law of instantaneous manifestation. What I would say I experience more as the law of eternal life. But it's not something that's automatic. You have to work it. It's a spiritual discipline. And it's a spiritual discipline of surrendering and knowing what your own medicine is, what your own lessons are for yourself in this life. What is your manifest purpose? And that doesn't look the same for everybody. And only our I am can cultivate that experience for us in full harmonic perfection. So it's a choice that we make. And that's the invitation to live in wholeness and cultivate a sense of wholeness within oneself and with the world around us. And this image here is of Oh, I would like to acknowledge that I'm sitting in a park and that there's some sounds that you're hearing of the cars passing by going that way on the street. And then over here, there's a parking lot. And so you may be hearing the door open and close. And this is an image that I created, and it's to bring us back into the memory of Mother Nature within the core of us, and that we can choose to cultivate the harmony of being in balance with the elements of earth, fire, water, and air. And when we consciously tend that, then we are able to experience greater harmony in our lives, and we are able to offer blessings to others, gifts to others, and gifts to ourselves without having to work so hard to think about what that means, because we've surrendered into a space of trusting the cycles that we live in and understanding how we and what we are doing are part of the cycles that we are living in. So that's what this is an invitation to, the beginning of that memory and living in that manner. Because Mother Earth is calling all of us to tend harmony. And the way that we do that as humanity and as humans is through peace, love, and joy, and cultivating that on a personal level. Because you cannot give what you do not have. That's the key. So, this tree called me here, and so I have the card there. And I feel this is a mother tree or a grandmother tree. And this is literally half of one of my absolute favorite crystal clusters ever. And it has several, each of these is a micro crystals. There's several micro crystals on this. So it's very powerful, and I can even feel the energy of it as it's washing me with light, as I'm moving energy to share what I'm about to share. And I would like to share that here I am sitting outside of the Justice Center in Barstow, where I live. And where I live, this courthouse, this courthouse here is where my family's case was handled. And this courthouse, I would like to start by saying that this is going to be a very difficult story for many to hear. And it is my truth. And it does not have any hostility in it. But what it does have is me giving love in space where fear is often shared and given. And so, um, my hesitation as I speak is because I'm feeling some of the impact of the words that I'm sharing. I am committed to caring for myself as a priestess and in staying in alignment with my teachings from the God and the Goddess about how to live in harmony and how to cultivate a harmonious life. I stood up to the father of my children, and I had him removed by the police. And due to COVID, he was released like many others. And I ultimately had an experience of him requesting to see the children through the court system. Now, he was offered the opportunity to interact with me as co parenting before the physical violence, but he was not of mind that that was truly something that I could honor, because he grew up as a juvenile delinquent. And so he grew up in recidivist culture. And so he did not trust me and trust that I would honor my word, that we would stay in touch if he moved out, because that was his self image of himself, that he did not deserve to be honored in that manner. So, in loving all of us, myself, my two children, my 5-year old and my 4-year old, that's how old they are now. At the time when he hit me, they were, I think, 2 something. Sorry. I don't very often talk about that part. So I have 2 toddlers now, 4 and 5, and their father is back in the picture. And he's been back for a month now. It's been 3 years, and he's been back for a month. And he is back through a friend of mine, helping me to co facilitate a reintroduction. At the safest place to be, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to something as sensitive as bringing people back together after violence has been involved. For me, for my family, that place was Barstow Indian Health. And this is not what the courts asked for. And I'm going to tell you why I did not honor what the courts asked for. When we went to court, it was during COVID, so I was over the phone because I had my babies and I didn't have childcare. Because of the location that I live in, it's very dangerous. So it's not like you can always trust the people next door to look after your children and keep them safe. And I prefer not to be in denial, and I prefer not to be in wishful thinking, because those things end up getting us in trouble. And they end up getting us in situations that we feel terrible about being in. So I make my best efforts not to expose my children to those kinds of experiences. And so when our case was called, at the beginning of court, when he called our case and he asked us, you know, they address you, and to acknowledge who's being called for the case. And he said, I asked if I could ask a question. And he said that I would have to wait until he was done saying what he had to say. And he said it like that. And if you know anything about domestic violence sensitivity training, if you know anything about the cycle of violence, you know that talking to someone like that can be triggering and is not being sensitive to the situation. So I waited for him to finish everything he had to say and all the decisions that he had to make about our situation before I got to ask my question. And after I asked my question, after I asked if the paperwork that was provided by the court, when I received my paperwork from the court, if the sheet and the information about domestic violence, if it applied to my case. Even though there was a police report submitted from the police officer saying that there was physical evidence, from his personal judgment, not because I said anything. Even though there was a police report included in my case file, I really felt like this judge did not take the time to read what was in my case file because he told me that it didn't apply. And so I knew that considering the history of the father of my children and that he had crossed the line in domestic violence, in the cycle of violence, he had crossed the line into physical. I understood the danger that I was in. So I took my time, the time that I took to reach out to him, to communicate, to prepare myself, to be supported in healing myself, in empowering myself, and getting as many resources as I could to support me in staying stable, in staying sound, and in staying as healthy as possible, which is pretty healthy because I work very hard at that. And I want to honor that because I'm being honest. In doing that, and also protecting my children, and also protecting the father of my children. Sorry. And also protecting my children, and also protecting the father of my children, because we needed a space to heal. And in the growth that I have gone through since that time of having him removed and dealing with court, which was all around 3 years ago, and having done this healing and empowerment of myself for my spiritual growth, I have been able to facilitate with my friend and with him real healing for us. And it's real healing, and it's difficult reconnecting. But we have a space to be honest about how we feel, and that would not have been present before. It was very violent before. The whole treatment of our family. I am not going to throw my children to a stranger who does not know anything about him or I, the father or the mother. They do not know us. Why would I just automatically trust people that I've never met to take care, without having spent the time to truly get to know us? How can we expect supervised visits to work if the parents don't talk? If there is nothing, if there is nothing in place to help the parents get back on the same page, to work through what happened, truly, honestly, get back on the same page and have some type of even friendship. With no follow up scheduled for whether or not our family is good, with barely an assessment of our situation, with the professional who did an assessment of the two of us for the mediation that we were assigned to, with her professional opinion not even being fully considered because it's not allowed all the way on the paper because of the questions that the paper asks, does not ask her for a full assessment. So, so this is where I am, because this is how I get what I need. This is why I am safe and my family is safe. And that includes the father of my children now, again, because he's making the effort to heal and he's really doing the work. And that's all I ever needed, was for him to really be fully present. But it's not easy because of all the stuff that he's been through. So I honor this work that we're doing by sharing it with you, because we need support. I need support. My children are transitioning to primary care with their father so I can take time getting on my feet. My children are transitioning to primary care with their father in Los Angeles, a different county. I've been on welfare this whole time since I've been here for 5 years in the same apartment, which I love. That's the place that my kids have had for 5 years. They've had that stability for 5 years. And now we're transitioning to them being in LA for their education. And he's taken over that with his girlfriend. And that leaves me now to rely not on welfare anymore, because for all intents and purposes, I'm no longer a mother by how they run things. So my case is done because they are being transferred to Los Angeles for Medi-Cal, for health care coverage while they're in school. So I am here working on my ministry, and that's my life. So I would appreciate any help that you will give to this work and to me as I do this work for myself and my family, and to bless the community and all communities, for anybody who's ready to birth the new earth, do things different, be peace, love, and joy rather than all this other stuff. That each human makes a choice to stop carrying these frequencies, to let them go, and to know that they don't have to hold on to that stuff anymore. They don't have to be defined by that stuff anymore. That you can really live in awe, in peace, love, and joy. You know, from the wisdom of being activated at the heart and the throat and the third eye and the crown, and really opening up a connection so that we stop being so antagonistic and separatist in how we talk and thinking that there's stuff against us, because I don't. I have compassion. You want to hear? I have compassion for the judge. I have compassion for him because I listened and I heard. I understand how hard his job is. There's a lot of decisions that have to be made, and it's not a lot of time because it's too many cases. We're not being enabled to take care of ourselves. I've been working on my business for 5 years, and the welfare office doesn't help me. People go, oh, you should just go hustle. Hustle what?
This is my hustle. My ministry is my hustle. My ministry is my life. I don't want to contribute to toxicity. I want to be free and independent. I want to be supported and taking care of myself without apology, without being shamed. This has been a very difficult journey because so many people are afraid. We're so conditioned to fear. But Mother Earth and humanity have been praying for generations for help, and that help is here. We have so much divine support, and I have been cleaving to that support. And because I have been so disciplined with using spiritual practices to release illusions, release fears, release the pain and the distortion, I'm in a space now where I can freely communicate without the energy coming in that distracts us before we transition to what some people call ascended living, what some people call mystical living. You know, I I just think of it as holistic living because we have to return to the circle. We each as humans, we would be so blessed if we each chose to just remember the circle. Remember the circle. Because we're never alone. We're always part of the cycle of life. And we just don't need to be tormented by things that are naturally occurring. And we just have to learn how to be our own harmony in these vessels. And in being our own harmony, that's how we bless God. That's how we bless life. The body is a whole system just like the cosmos. We're not separate. And we're part of nature. And we need Mother Nature. We need Mother Nature. We need to be able to touch her every part of our life right now because it's so bad. So bad. People are so disjointed and out of it because they're not in the circle. They're not connecting with Mother Nature to get the memory, the re-memory of life, the the raw energy of life. They're not touching it. So they forget what God feels like in their bodies. And they get distracted by a bunch of stuff that's offered on a regular basis. But I like to have round stuff everywhere in my home. Balls, spheres, circles. However, to just keep stuff just if it's round, circles, balls, spheres, as much as possible because it's a reminder to the mind, consciously, semi consciously, or subconsciously, and unconsciously. to have natural objects around you, to remember that there's just like Mother Nature puts so much into every little thing. Like there's goes so much goes into every little thing, and it just immediately reminds you that that means you too. You study anything in Mother Nature, anything you study anything in Mother Nature, and just let your mind do it, because then you start to experience that connection again, and you start to understand again. You start to feel sure, feel clear, feel connected, supported, and synchronicities, harmony happen, and you can understand it because your instincts, your intuition is healed and harmonized. Your body is reacclimated to your truth. So that's my answer to the call for healing. Thank you for sharing this space with me. I'm gonna go now so I can go drink some water, take care of myself, do some recharging with Christ light, soul light, whatever you call it, to help me do this little walk back in the Mojave Desert. Go walk back and say hi to my babies. They're hanging out with the neighbor. One neighbor, finally blessed to have one neighbor that I could trust to keep an eye on my kids for a while, spend time with my kids for a while. So grateful for her. I'm so grateful for the opportunities that are coming in for support, just like my neighbor moving in with all the stuff that happened, for her to move out, for all the other people that moved out a couple of months ago, a few months ago. Now, having a chance to share this is, I know it's important, so I'm sharing it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for holding space with me. Thank you for witnessing. Ravma out. Very joy. See you soon. Many blessings.